Hello po at magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ngayon po ay September 15, 2022. Kalahating buwan na po. At Webes po ngayon at 101 days na lang Pasko na. Mabuhay po kayong lahat at welcome po sa The Stock Market Today. Ako po si Benji Chadoro, ang inyong lingkod. Ang ating balitang i-share ay tungkol sa Wall Street uli, no? Plus yung tungkol sa power companies, no? At yung kanilang rate hike petition. Pero bago ang lahat, ako po ay isang retired bank officer at nagsimula nag-invest sa Philippine stock market noong 2007 at binabalita ko po ang pinaka-latest news at tungkol sa pinaka-aktibo at paboritong stock sa Philippine market. At kung gusto niyo po ng content, niimbitahan ko po kayo mag-subscribe sa aking channel. Kung meron po kayong stocks na gusto nyo pa-review, paki-comment lang po sa comment box at aking ipa-prioritize. Hindi po ako financial advisor. Ang mga sinasabi ko po dito ay hindi po financial advice. Again, Mari, we're praying for you. Get well soon. Pinsan ko po yun, ano? At meron po siyang sakit since March. And we're really praying for your quick recovery. Pati si Tito Sam, yung father niya. And Adrian is now here on a work vacation, I think, ano? And siya po yung only daughter ni Mary. We're praying for your quick recovery. Huwag kayong alis dahil babahagi ko sa inyo ang ating financial headlines at ang resulta ng trading sa ating PSE ngayong araw, September 15, 2022, dito lamang sa The Stock Market Today. Okay, simulan na po natin. Ang ating headlines ay galing po sa Business World. Vehicle sales nearly double in August. BIR aims to have 100% of tax payments done online. Okay, doon naman sa ating corporate news. Consistent application sought for key ERC ruling. Israeli company seek ICT cooperation with Philippine counterparts. FEU reports surpassing pre-pandemic student population for 2022 and 2023, and Tan-led firm expects leasing recovery on re-emerging POGO. Okay, so dito po tayo sa ating main news tungkol sa ERC ruling on the power sector, no? At tingnan lang natin, antayin lang natin mag-load. Okay, consistent application sought for key ERC ruling. ASEAN Corp has joined participants in the energy sector that have called on the regulator to decide on a joint plea by the country's dominant power distributor and its energy supplier to hike their previously approved energy rate to reflect unforeseen events. The call from the Ayala-led renewable energy platform came after days after the Energy Regulatory Commission heard the petition jointly filed by Meralco and a unit of San Miguel Corp. So, ito yung SMC Global. Whatever the decision will be, we hope that the regulator as well as Meralco will treat all suppliers fairly and consistently, ASEAN President and Chief Executive Officer Eric T. Francia said in a statement sent via Viber. We have the same contract and similar set of circumstances, so if there is a change in circumstance in one supplier, the same should apply to others, he added. The change in circumstance was previously described by SMC President Ramon Ang as extraordinary and unprecedented, caused by commodity supply disruptions brought about by Indonesia's coal export ban, Russia's war on Ukraine, and the pandemic's value chain issues. Mr. Ang said that SMC's power unit and SMC Global Holdings Corp's power facilities in Suwal, Pangasinan, and Ihihan, Batangas had incurred a combined loss of 15 billion, prompting the group to seek temporary relief to allow it to continue supplying power. SMC decided to absorb more than 10 billion of the losses which were incurred last year and traced to a surge in the average coal price of $176 per metric ton in the second half of last year from just 99 per metric ton coal siguro ito in the first half. It said the average coal price in 2019 and 2020 was only $69 per metric ton. The Sewell plant runs on coal. The company also cited the unilateral natural gas supply restrictions from the Malapaya for the Ihian power plant. SMC earlier said that coal prices in the global commodity markets had breached $400 per metric ton, or way above the $60 to $65 per metric ton price range that was factored in during the execution of its power supply agreements with Meralco in 2019. So from a $60 to $65 per metric ton, naging 176 na, no? So nalulugi si San Miguel. The SMC Global Power is seeking temporary and partial cost recovery relief only for the losses it incurred from January to May 2022 through a rate increase on its contract capacity under the PSAs to be amortized over a period of 6 years. Up for ERC resolution is the joint petition for a rate increase covering the first 5 months of this year of 80 centavo per kilowatt hour from 430 to 5.1 per kilowatt hour for the SMC Group's 670 megawatts of contracted baseload capacity from the Ilihan plant, and an average of 4 pesos per kilowatt hour from 430 to 830 per kilowatt hour for the 330 contracted baseload capacity from the Sewell plant. SMC is looking to recover from 5.2 billion in losses for the 5-month period. ASAN did not give details on its PSA with Meralco, but based on ERC documents, the company under its previous name was issued a notice of award by Meralco after a competitive selection process for its bid to supply 200 megawatts at 4.8849 per kilowatt hour. So apparently, mag-i-increase po ito, no? In a media statement on August 23, Mr. Ang called on the ERC for a fair and objective assessment of the joint petition, which was filed in May, seeking a temporary rate increase for 6 months. So 80 centavos per kilowatt hour hinihingi niyang rate increase, which is apparently, well, temporary lang po ang hinihingi. And in another news, stocks crash as US inflation remains hot. World market slipped yesterday after Wall Street fell the most since June 2020, as a report showed inflation has kept a surprisingly strong grip in the US economy. At the local market, the benchmark PSE index fell by 118.95 points, or 1.77% to 6852.86, while the broader all-share index dropped to 3,497.21, down 45.62 points or 1.29%. The PSE index dropped after US inflation data came in higher than expected, paving the way for the Fed to continue their hawkish stance, AB Capital Securities said in a note. Ang ibig pong sabihin ng hawkish ay yung mataas na rate. Dovish naman yung mababang rate. Okay. Traders said the still hot inflation in the US dashed investors' hope that the US Federal Reserve would pull back on its aggressive monetary stance. It said the local market plunged along with the global downturn. Pero it's not so much, yung bagsak ng PSE kahapon, mas malaki pa nga yung a week ago. But I think the Philippine economy is more resilient than the US. Now, traders are bracing for the Fed to ultimately raise interest rates more than expected to combat inflation with the risk of the economy that this entails. So, ang tinitingnan po nila ay maaring a full percentage point, no? Or 100 basis points. Traders see a 1 in 3 chance in the Fed may hike its benchmark rate by a full percentage point. Ito ay quadruple the usual move. The Fed has raised its federal funds rate 4 times this year in the last 2 increases by 3/4 of a percentage point. The rate is currently in the range of 2.25 to 2.5%. So, ang taas ng rate sa US, ano? So, kung 1 percentage point or 100 basis points, magiging 3.25 to 3.5% na po ang rates sa US. So sa atin, I think we will also follow that stance, ano? Kasi as long as there is a difference between the interest rates or inflation in the US against the rates here, the peso will remain depreciated or mababa. Lalong babagsak ang ating peso against the dollar because of the differential in interest rates. The dollar is the stronger currency. Okay, so let's check your comments. I think we have one here. Raquel, I think si Raquel din to. Sabi ni Raquel, pag mataas po inflation, mababa ang mga bonds, mataas ang mga equities. Thank you, sir. Tama ka, Raquel. Tama ka dun. No? Kasi there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and bond prices. No? In general, it has an inverse relationship. Kasi ang bonds gives a fixed interest rate. So, when interest rates go up, bond prices usually fall. And when interest rates go down, bond prices usually goes up. Kasi fixed lang po yung rate. Pero ang ginagawa naman kasi ng mga tulad niya, no, yung experience ko sa bonds is that if the rate, for example, is 6%, yan, example yung IPO niya, no, yung bond na say 1,000 pesos, 1,000 peso bond, or 100,000 peso bond, ng rate ay 6%. Tumaas ng more than 6% ang interest rates. Ang gagawin ng bangko in order for the bond to remain competitive, kasi magkakaroon ng ng sell off Ang gagawin niya, bababaan niya yung presyo ng bond. So imbis na 1,000, gagawin niya ng 900 para pumantay or mag-equivalent dun sa higher interest rate. So mumurahan niya yung bond. So yun naman yung compensating factor. But the general rule is there is an inverse relationship between interest rates and bonds. So conversely naman, ang ginagawa ng mga traders, pagka bumaba yung interest rates, di attract, mataas yung malaki yung demand sa bond, di ba? Ang gagawin naman ng issuer or nung mga may hawak ng bonds o yung mga may inventaryo ng bond, you will be selling the bond at a premium to compensate for the lower interest rate, prevailing interest rate, para pumantay dun sa prevailing interest rate. So, ganun lang po yun. But in general, inverse po ang relationship between bonds and interest rates. Okay, let's take a look at the index. All right. The PSE index, flat siya, no? Bumaba pero konti lang. Nasa 71 or nasa 65, 75.67 or 7.19 points down, 0.11%. Pero flat po ito. So hindi po gaanong gumalaw ang ating index from yesterday's close, ano? Market activity naman, 74 na kumpanya ang bumaba, 90 ang umabante at 51 ang hindi nagbago. Ang all-share index naman ay flat din. 0.01% or 0.31 points, wala pang 1 point. Yung sectoral indices naman ay mixed. Ang financials, holding companies, industrials at services ay bumaba. Samantalang ang mining at properties ay tumaas. So, tignan po natin ang most active stocks, no? So, tignan po natin ang 4 most active at pumili po tayo ng mga nag-gain, ano? So, SMPH, Ayala Corporation, Ali, and then tignan po natin si SMC. Tapos, tignan natin si EMI at si Bloom. Yan. 3.25% ang tinaas ni Bloom eh. So, umpisa na po natin. SMPH, properties po ito ng SM Group. Sideways lang po, pero makikita po natin na nag-gain po siya. At kung kahapon nakabili po kayo, swerte po, no? Dahil ang galaw lang po nitong SMPH ay within this area lang eh. Yan, no? Yan lang po yung area. May slight overshoot lang. So, kung nakabili po kayo kahapon at or the past few days, ano? Kasi nag 35 pesos to, 35.65. Ngayon po ay 36.50. Ang abangan nyo na lang ay yung resistance level, ano? Yung resistance level natin nasa bandang 39.14 and nasa 35.73 po ang support. So, pwede po kayong kumita dyan based dito sa SM kasi yan po yung ganun po ang behavior ng stock eh. So, nasa 47.66 or bearish pa rin ang SM at moving sideways lang po siya. Ito yung magandang i-play sa market eh, SM. So, bili po kayo sa bandang 35.70 to 35.80. Tapos, benta nyo sa 39.10. Okay, next we have Ayala Corporation. Ayala is okay, bullish po si Ayala ha. And let's take EMA 100 as our support, no? 706 ang pinaka-support level niya, pero pinaka-resistance ay nandito po sa area nito eh. Yung entry price po ng Investograms, yan po yung pinaka-resistance niya. Short resistance at 748, pero yung support nandito eh. Ngayon, I think yung pinupunto ni investor dito is meron ng trend pagka dumating siya dito. So, entry price is 748 and target price is 795. So, bullish po siya. No? Bullish po ang trend at nasa 59 po yung kanyang RSI. Tapos naman, si Ali, moving sideways lang po si Ali. At wala pang definite movement siya, no? So, ang EMA 50, ang pinaka-support natin at 28. Samantalang ang resistance, nandito po sa area to, nasa 30-40. And the RSI is at 52. Ang fundamentals po ni Ali, maganda naman si Ali eh. Mag-aantay lang kayo, no? Ayala Land buy 38 pesos or a 34% upside. Yan po si Ali. Then San Miguel, SMC. Okay, nag-bounce lang po siya pero bearish pa rin po si San Miguel, ano? So, it's been moving downwards. Let's try to draw a parallel channel. Yan po siya. Short-term parallel channel lang po. At kung susundan po natin ang parallel channel, ang pinaka-support po niya nasa 95.20. And the support is at 95.20 and the resistance is at 101.30. Pero pababa po si SMC. And then EMI, Emperador. Okay, sideways lang po. Pero in general, ang general trend po niya ay pataas. So, nagko-consolidate lang po siya dito and it recently joined the Singapore Index and yung SGX. So, ang pinaka-support ay parallel channel din ang gawin natin dito kay Emperador. Ganyan. Yan po ang kanyang movement. So, ang pinaka support po ay nasa 19 pesos. Samantalang ang resistance nasa 21.85. Bullish po. So, slightly pataas, no? And yung RSI ay pataas din po. Nasa 56. Finally, we have Bloom. Aha, mukhang nagbe-breakout siya. At meron siyang bullish po si Bloom, ha? Pataas po ang kanyang movement. And marireach na po niya yung resistance level. Nandito po ang kanyang resistance level. Nasa bandang 786, ha? Yung pinaka-resistance level. And bullish po si Bloom, ha? Support nandito eh. Nasa 731, 786 pero very thin lang po, no? Yan po, si Bloom. At meron bang presyo si Bloom? Tingnan nga natin si Bloom. Sandali. Bloomberry, buy rating at 810. So, malapit na po siyang ma-reach yung kanyang upside o yung presyo. Pero 786 lang po yung technicals niya. Pero ang kanyang fundamentals, Bloom is at 810. So, halos nandun na rin siya, no? Malapit na po dito sa pinakatuktok ng resistance niya. And bullish po, nasa 69 po yung kanyang RSI, almost over po. Okay, so yan po ang ating report sa stock market, September 15, 2022. Ito po si Benji Chidoro nagpapaalala, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagtangkilik at hanggang sa muli. Stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.